afternoon, and welcome to another Clearwater Jazz Holiday Foundation's Young Lions Jazz Master Virtual Sessions. I am your guest host, Michael Kernodle, and I have a special treat for you. I know you're saying, what is that special treat? I'm glad you asked. Today's educator is none other than Tyler Wertman, and the topic is how to approach big band as a brass or woodwind instrumentalist. I just want to remind everyone who comes in, thank you for joining us, first of all. If you have any questions, go into the chat feature and just type in your question. We're going to leave some time near the end where you can ask anything of the educator, and we're just going to spend some time answering those at the end. But before we do that, it wouldn't be right if we didn't thank our sponsors. So we want to please ask you to check out the studio archives of past video sessions at clearwaterjazz.com, education and outreach section. And that's brought to you by Blue Water Wealth Management at Stewart Partners and Duke Energy, as well as the Young Line podcast available wherever you stream. That's brought to you by our friends at Marine Max Clearwater. And just search Young Lions Jazz Master Virtual Sessions wherever you stream. So where do we start? Tyler's been with us here at Clearwater Jazz. He's really given us some awesome sessions in the past. I'm just going to name a few, and of course, you can go back in the archives later and check them out. He's done basic trombone fundamentals, long tones and lip slurs, or tongue and articulation, major scale arpeggio practice. The list goes on and on. He even did one on an approach to improvisation on trombone. We all need a little help on improvisation, whether you're a beginner or you're a seasoned musician. These are great sessions. And just a little bit about Tyler. He's a composer, a performer, a producer. The list goes on. He focuses on jazz and classical styles. He's been with us for the, My Journey with Jazz programs. And he's done some phenomenal work with our organization. He's an instructor of music at the University of Tampa. He's presently teaching there Introduction to Jazz, as well as world music cultures. Guess what? He had his bachelor's degree in arts and music from FSU. I think you heard of that school before. And his master's of music in jazz studies from USF, staying here in Florida. So welcome back, Tyler. The stage is all yours.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, sponsors. Thank you, Clearwater Jazz. I really just enjoy being here, enjoy instructing everything about jazz that I can. And so today it's about how to approach big band, for woodwind and brass instrumentalists. Maybe you're coming into big band for the first time this year and you have no idea what you're getting into. Maybe you've been in big band for the past couple years now, and you're looking to audition for colleges, and maybe you don't, quite understand what that situation might be like. We're going to clear up some of those things today. How does a big band function on all these different levels, and how can we understand, the roles of each chair? Now, for brass musicians in the big band, right, that includes trumpets and trombones. Okay, so these two sections differ a little bit because in the trombone section, we can have a bass trombone, but there's no bass trumpet in the trumpet section. Unfortunately, that would be a really cool sound, and I'm sure it's been done before, but still. Usually 3, 4, 5 trumpets in the trumpet section, and anywhere from 3, straight tenor trombones here to 3 with a bass, 4 with the bass. And I've even seen or groups that run double bass trombones. Okay. And so that's a more modern sound. So there's a lot of playing opportunities here. Right. And for woodwinds, we have baritone sax, we have our 2 tenor chairs, and our second and lead alto chairs. Okay. So again, a lot of playing opportunities when it comes to being a horn player in the jazz band. And that's great, right? Because really the first thing that we want to sort of keep in mind is that we want to be open, okay, when we're approaching big band music. Okay, so by be open, open to others playing, okay, open to getting up and maybe soloing, okay, taking the opportunity to try something new, right? And also being open to playing different parts within your section, right? So being able to, read the third trombone part, for instance, right? And then have the ability to maybe switch off with the lead player, okay? Or the facility to, grab the bass bone and read your bass part. Being more well-rounded is just going to allow you to have more opportunities down the road, which is crucial, right? And also you get to sort of choose, what you would like to play here. Okay, so understanding the roles of each chair is just as important as being open, to all those other opportunities. You, as a musician, you got to understand that, playing lead and playing third, they have some similarities. They're not completely different. And a lot of times I hear that from students, oh, he's on lead, so he's playing loud, or louder, should I say. That's not necessarily, what's supposed to be happening. What's supposed to be happening is that the lead musician, the lead trumpet player, for instance, is playing in such a way where the rest of the section hears his articulations. They hear his note lengths. They hear his crescendos, his decrescendos, because he's presenting it, in front like that. And because he's doing that, not just, the trumpet section can hear that, the entire band can hear that, which then, we balance down trumpets to trombones to saxes in terms of, matching these styles, right? So the trumpet is the furthest back and also the loudest. So we're able to hear how short, how long he's playing. And then the trombones, right? They can match that as well. And the saxophones follow suit. And then we have an entire band matching on not only time, but articulation. And that's when you really get swing happening. Okay. So like I said, understanding these roles. Okay. So your lead role is about sound. You're going to be responsible for how your entire section perceives, whatever style of tune you're playing, whether that's a ballad, whether that's slow swing, whether that's up tempo, whether it's Latin. Okay, all of these things are really determined, like I said, the articulations by your lead player. Okay, so that involves having a greater understanding of maybe your instrument. Okay, producing different sounds, different fall techniques, right? Having that ability to do all of those things, because the lead musicians they make choices, when we're playing. I love playing lead, but I also love playing second. I love playing third. What's great about playing lead, is that you get to choose how quick, you fall, or the length of your crescendo, just within the band. Okay. But that doesn't mean you're just playing very loud. That's a very common misconception. So let's talk about playing second part. Okay. Second, in terms of, trombone 2, trumpet 2. Now, this second part is usually voiced very closely to the lead part, usually maybe a third, a fourth, or a fifth away. So that involves having to match that lead player's dynamic. We need to support them so that those harmonies and pitches, slot together. We can't just have our lead guy sitting on top and everyone else just kind of, playing intermittently below. We need to hear that full section. Okay, so second is a crucial part. Crucial. I cannot say that enough. And you will also see solos oftentimes written for second, also first, and other parts as well. But primarily, the second trumpet, the second trombonists have the majority of these solos. Now, you might be saying, why is that? The second trombone and trumpeter, if you're thinking of a jazz band, okay, so we have, jazz band here, and then you have your rhythm section, okay? And so the way the jazz band is set up is that the side that's closest to the rhythm section, right, that is actually going to be the side where the trumpet two, the trombone two are going to be closest. So they can hear the rhythm section a lot clearer than the other side of the band, such as, the bari sax, the bass trombone. And oftentimes what happens, besides just standing up to take a solo, guys might come around to, a center microphone where the rhythm section can hear, the soloist better. So you can communicate in your solos rhythmically, harmonically, whichever. Okay, so harmonically, and so harmony, this is found in your third parts oftentimes, okay? A very dense harmonic line usually. And so third isn't necessarily just a walk in the park either, because you're usually in this mid-range of your instrument. And so in order to get these lines to speak just as clearly as your lead player, it may involve some more finessing of your technique, then being able to play, shorter and louder because you're up higher. It's actually a bit tougher to do that lower in your instrument. Okay, so second and third, those parts are crucial. I cannot stress that enough. Those interior parts really make the band, because if you think about it in maybe other terms here, I'll give you an example. So a group of, cheerleaders, they form their pyramid, right, in their show. Now, if they took all the strongest, people and they put them at the top, what would happen to the pyramid? It comes falling down, right? There's no support at the bottom, and we can't have our flashy, person being at the top. So what do we have to do? We have to support the pyramid going up so that the person on top, in essence, our lead musician, can shine, can show how it's done, how to display articulations, display all these things, falls, turns of the instruments, crescendos, okay, dynamics. And so we're not just sort of leaving them hanging. We're all playing and matching that level so that we can perform. Okay. And it's really important that third trumpet and third trombones take their parts very seriously in those interior layers, because those are crucial. And so we have bass bone now in fourth trumpet. Again, we can't really have a bass, trumpet per se, but our fourth trumpets might have solos sometimes as well. in your parts. Fifth trumpets, for instance, sometimes are a written part just for solos in some cases. And your bass trombonist is more, or that fourth trombone line. If you don't have a bass trombone, you could play it on a, hit what you can on a regular trombone. But oftentimes it is paired very closely with our baritone sax. So if you're on bass trombone, it's great to listen, balance, and blend with your section. But again, like I said, be open to others. Right? Others playing. So here, man, is that person playing the exact same line as me, in front of me or behind me? And if so, well, that's something to pay attention to. Okay. And if something does get off, between that, tap that person on the shoulder, say, hey, man, I don't think we were matching here. Do you have this line? And talk, it's all about understanding and having everyone, sort of provide that honesty so that you can grow. I can't stress that enough. And so, yes, your bass is sound and intonation as well, much like your lead. Okay. And again, so your baritone sax is with your bass trombonist sort of oftentimes. And then we have our tenors in our saxophone section. And so with tenors, it's crucial that we balance within our section, and we're listening to our lead alto, because our lead alto has the same role as our lead trumpet player and lead trombonist, in that they sort of set the tone or the precedent for how the tune is going to be approached, right? How much vibrato you might use, right? And that's just one example. But that is sort of set by the lead players in the section. Their job is to match, right? Match their sound. If they're, responsible for any solos, they can knock that out. Usually you'll see solos for first tenor. Why? Because usually first tenor is, again, closest to your rhythm section. And again, it's all about balancing and blending as a big band, right? It's not about one individual. That's not how we approach big band styles, right? It's about seeing all these opportunities, understanding, okay, well, I can bring this to the table. And maybe that's your great sense of harmony and balancing. Well, man, third would be a great spot for you to audition on or jump in with, right? Or maybe you're a gifted soloist. In this case, second would be a great chair for you if you're a trumpet player or a trombonist, right? Or maybe first tenor, right, would be a great spot for you. If you have a great low register, well, obviously bass trombone or baritone sax, for instance, or even one of the lower trumpet parts, just to sort of balance that pyramid, right? So we can't just have our lead musician up at top wailing. We almost need the second to put in twice as much work, the third to put in more work than him, and the bass to sort of be our foundation. Okay, foundation on pitch, right? Foundation just on all of these levels, so that we can have a nice balanced pyramid. Okay, and so there are some different approaches you might take, with maybe playing a lead part, such as maybe scaling down your mouthpiece size if you're a brass musician, or finding maybe a harder reed if you're, alto one, to sort of cut through that sound. And so, do this if you have means and if you're comfortable. doing this, because I know switching up gear can throw a lot of other musicians off. But for instance, when I was in school for my classical horn, I played a Schoelke 52, which is a pretty average open mouthpiece. And then for my lead playing, I had a 47, which is a bit smaller. And that seemed to help me. But now I play a Marcinkiewicz 6E, and it's just right for me. And it sort of allows me to approach all of these things. Okay, so again, understand your playing, understand how you work best with others. How do you interpret, sound at that moment so that you can match and balance and blend? And having that understanding it's absolutely crucial. Hey, Mike, you got any questions?
You know what, Tyler? I mean, you brought up some great points about balance. And I think there's been this misconception throughout the years that first part is the most important. I have to get first chair for first part, because if I'm on third or fourth, that's boring and it's not necessary. It's not needed. When it's kind of in the reverse, like you said, if you don't have a strong foundation, I mean, my goodness, it's going to be a shaky sound. So I'm glad you said something. So if you're a young musician or student and you're listening and you're saying, hey, I just have to get first share, it's not all about that. That balance and that blend that Tyler's talking about is so very vital. So I guess the question is, what does the unbalanced band sound like? I mean, if it's really top heavy and all you hear is a lead and you don't hear anybody else. Have you heard that before? And, what was that experience like?
Well, you tend to, yes, I have, to answer that question. And it doesn't sound even, you might hear one trumpet player really blasted out their part, and a trombone player matching them, right? By them, I mean the loud trumpeter. And then everyone else is sort of, figuring out their parts as they go along. That's not a great sound as a band, as a school band, as a professional band. Why? Because it shows, and we can hear that not everyone has the same level of understanding, or they're not even trying to. Okay. And so that is what I, listen to when I hear a big band. I try to hear, is the trombone section sounding like one trombone playing four different lines? Or do I hear four different trombonists playing one line, for instance, or four different lines? But the goal is to have your section matching as much as possible. And that does show that you've practiced sitting down and practiced, in sectionals for this performance.
Well, I think you answered the next question. It was, how do you achieve that sound? And you just mentioned a very important word, sectionals. So I guess you're saying that they should probably get together just like instruments and play together, maybe after school or maybe outside of school. I noticed that great sections build strong relationships amongst the section. It's not all about just playing, especially if you've noticed that they're all friends. For some reason, they sound better. Why is that? Is it because, they spend more time together? What is that?
So, I call that chemistry. You know, not chemistry, you know, with hydrogen and oxygen, but human chemistry, getting to understand individuals on a level beyond their name, right? Getting to know their reactions, how they're going to deal with things, how they're going to approach certain things. And then once you understand that, you can rely on that person, or maybe not rely on that person to do or perform, you know, a certain way. But by doing sectionals, it ingrains, you know, yourself with these other individuals, and your ear picks up on different things that, you know, A, B, and C do. And so you're used to that now. And if that happens again, you're not thrown off, because you're learning with your section. And every section is different. Every single section, even if you have the same group of guys and girls come back next year, it's going to be a different section. Why? Because you are all going to have a different level of understanding, right? Hopefully we will all grow with our sounds, with our understanding of harmony. And hopefully those things can propel us to getting the band that much tighter in the future.
That's a great answer. And I love when you said how that person's going to react. And the only way you're going to know that is by being familiar and spending time with your section. As we know in music, it's an unwritten rule. There's not a lot of talking up there on the bandstand unless you know, trying to encourage one another to blow that solo.
That's right. Yeah.
But man, to be able to communicate without talking, and you know where that person's going to take it, that's a powerful thing. And I know that ensemble is going to be cooking. You know what else is cooking? All of these sessions here with Clearwater Jazz Holiday. I mean, these virtual sessions are amazing. If you haven't told your friends and your bandmates about this, I'm not sure what's really happening. But, you know, always tell them to come over here to www.clearwaterjazz.com/education. They're going to get free sessions and more. And then we have a whole library of things on improvisation. You know, you need to work on chords, great. You want to work on structure, theory. I mean, we have it here. And the best thing about it, it's free. Who doesn't like free? Okay, so we thank you for coming today. And if you have any future session topic suggestions, we welcome it. Just email us, info@clearwaterjazz.com. If you want to tell how much you really love these sessions from Tyler Wertman, the perfect place is just to email us and let us know how this guy is doing. So until we see you the next time, thank you so much, Professor Tyler Wertman. I'm your guest host, Michael Kernodle, and we'll see you on the next one. Keep it swinging, everybody. Bye-bye.